Hey everyone, welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. Today, we are celebrating 1 year of Grounded. Asterisk, it's actually tomorrow, but you're traveling, Senator, so we're gonna do it today.
Yeah. It's for the most part been pretty good. What can I say? We really appreciate the folks who have tuned in over the last year, and especially those folks who have subscribed. We thank you very, very much for giving us some of your attention. And we're going to get into the list of the guests we've had. But holy mackerel, we've been busy.
Yeah. I'm gonna play it while we talk here because I put it all together in one spot yesterday, and to see it all in a list like this, it's just incredible how many people have taken time to talk to us, sometimes more than once. And it's unbelievable to see all these names in one place, I think, Senator. And today, you'll see the last name on this list. We are playing in full our conversation with the Rachel Maddow. And I actually crashed John and Charlotte's vacation in Hawaii to record this. So sorry.
Yeah, it's as everybody would think. I mean, she's a pro, and it was an interesting conversation that she brings her insights to things that are happening in the world today and in this country today, and I think they're valuable. I think they're worth listening to.
Yeah, she's been someone I've looked up to for such a long time. She has played a personal role in my life. She amplified a story of mine that really just catapulted my career. But I'm just one person. She does that every time she has a show. She cares about local journalism. She sees the stories that are happening locally and sees the value in putting them on the national stage. She's just insanely brilliant. And the way she tells stories and weaves it, it's just a masterclass. So it meant the world that she joined us here on Grounded. And I think you're going to like the conversation, at times scary, at times funny, and at times endearing, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And for somebody that works 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, we appreciate her taking an hour out of our busy week to be with us and to talk to you.
Okay. So we are going to do a little pop quiz for you, Senator. Ready?
No, I'm never good at pop quizzes.
Well, we're going to do some by the numbers. This is our 81st show.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how many sitting senators we've had?
Ooh, ballpark guess, a half a dozen, 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 9 sitting U.S. senators.
Damn, I flunked that one. Okay, this is kind of like high school. This is kind of like high school for me. Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had one show in front of a large live studio audience. That was in Helena. Yeah. We've had 2 shows in front of 2 smaller audiences just last week in Hawaii with everyone in the house watching as we recorded. Can you guess our most watched show, our most watched episode?
Yeah, I might have had some inside information on this from a month or so ago that you told me about. It was probably Heather Cox Richardson.
Yes, it was Heather Cox Richardson, the first one. And then our second episode with her was the 3rd most watched show we've ever done.
Well, she's another one like Rachel Maddow, who's white hot smart and has some great perspectives on what the hell's going on from a historical view. So she's always worth a listen or a read, either way you want to go.
Yeah, she's pretty incredible. She offers, I mean, I never know when she comes on where the conversation's going to go, but it's always insightful. Okay, our most frequent guest,
I looked at it when you did the scroll. Yeah, it was Tiffany Muller.
Oh, you were paying attention. Dang.
I was.
Dang, yes. Tiffany Muller from End Citizens United has been our most frequent guest. So just a little bit of fun. But I do want to say it has not all been fun because, oh, wait, one more time. One more question.
Uh-oh.
How many times have you dropped the F-bomb?
Oh, I don't know. I've tried to restrain myself pretty well. I'd say 50.
Well, here's what I said. Can you say that for our audio listeners, Senator?
Well, that says how many F-bombs tester F-bombs there have been? And Maritza says, by the way, even if she wrote it, she said that. Who the fuck knows? So
Who the fuck knows?
what can I say? You know.
Sorry,
Look,
Fred.
I'm just going to tell you. I know it's inappropriate, but some of the shit that's going on today is pretty damn inappropriate too. So you gotta approach inappropriate with inappropriateness, even though my parents would disagree. But sorry for those who I have offended. Sorry for those of you that appreciate it. Yeah, you see the world the same way I do. Thanks.
Okay, so in that time since we've started this show, we've seen a lot of shit go down, like you said. We've seen the purging of military leaders, inspectors general. We've seen Doge cuts, Signalgate, that Oval Office meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the deportation of people to El Salvador without due process, tariffs, sending the National Guard to Los Angeles, political assassinations, the big beautiful bill, cuts to research funding, welcoming Vladimir Putin to Alaska on a red carpet, the Epstein files, the indictment of political enemies like James Comey and Letitia James, boat strikes in the Caribbean, the longest federal government shutdown in our nation's history, the demolition of the East Wing of the White House, investigations into 6 members of Congress for a video they made, capturing the Venezuelan president by force, ICE raids, killing of observers in Minnesota, and journalists arrested. That's an abbreviated list, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's stuff that went on this year that hopefully folks can start looking at and asking if this is really the country that they grew up in, and they think it's okay. And I would just say this, that you can watch the news and get anything you want. One of the things that Maritza does as a pro and that I appreciate is she tries to tell the truth and what's going on the ground. Hopefully the show does provide some entertainment, but hopefully it provides some knowledge too. And when you talk to people and it's like they're living in a different world that you're living in, it's because they're watching a news network, I should say an entertainment network, that it's not being square with them, not telling them what's going on. I'll give you a prime example. The morning after Don Lemon got arrested, I turned on all the networks that I get on my satellite, and one of the networks wasn't saying one word about it. They were talking about the weather in Maine, for Christ's sakes. So if all you do is watch that network, you wouldn't ever know that a journalist was arrested by our government for doing his job.
Multiple journalists.
And multiple journalists. Let's pull that back. Multiple journalists. And so, you know, it's an amazing time for this country, and that's why I dropped the F-bomb so much, because it frustrates the shit out of me that the country that I grew up in, the country where civil liberties, the state where civil liberties were really important, regardless if you were a Democrat or a Republican, and the Second Amendment was very important, regardless whether you're a Democrat or Republican, are being overlooked right now. Not to mention the freedom of speech and freedom of religion and due process and a number of other parts of our Constitution that are intentionally ignored to meet an agenda. And it's not the way this country was set up by our forefathers, and it's not something that we, by the way, and I think we're seeing it in places like Minneapolis, should be standing for.
Okay, well, I have Wendy in our chat saying that she appreciates the few F-bombs she's heard from you, Senator.
Oh, so, good. Thanks, Wendy.
There you go. Before I hit play on Rachel Maddow, though, I want to say to you, Senator Jon Tester, thank you. Thank you for trusting me to do this with me and going on this crazy adventure, and for putting up with all my emails and phone calls and text messages for the past year, harassing you about podcast scheduling.
Yeah, well, it gets pretty crazy in the summertime when I got farm work to do. But I will say that, and I don't want you telling anybody this, Maritza, because I don't want this to get out. But you've been great to work with, and you've been somebody that really does bring professionalism to your industry, and a certain level of professionalism that we need on this podcast. So thank you.
All right, I won't tell anyone you said that. Okay.
Promise. Got to promise. All right.
I promise. All right, here we go. We are going to play our chat with the Rachel Maddow, and we will discuss this on the other side. Enjoy, folks.
You tell me when to start.
Start. Yeah, go.
Look, this is the year anniversary of our podcast, Grounded. And we feel incredibly honored to have one Rachel Maddow join us today, who's going to talk about the state of the world, both politically and governmentally. And it is just an incredible pleasure. And I mean that. I've been on the other side of the table from you on your show, and it's always been interesting. You never know where the questions are going to head. But they've always been very, very good interviews. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be with a couple of, well, she's a pro, but I'm a rookie at this business. So thanks for being on board.
Well, thanks for having me, and congratulations on 1 year. Do you guys, did it go the way that you thought it would go over this year, or has it had surprises or unexpected twists and turns?
I'll be honest with you, Rachel, it's the longest year of my life. I'm just telling you, it's
just drudgery. It's just
no. I'll start, but you can answer that too. But I have been amazed by the number of people who want to speak, who want to join us and be interviewed. I mean, people who have perfectly good things to do with their life, and they'll spend an hour with us, which has just been amazing. So,
and this was our 81st episode. And I just can't, I mean, the very first episode we literally put together in about 4 days with no clue what we were doing. And so to get this far, I feel like, we're still building the plane as we're flying it, but we found a little bit of a rhythm. So I'm thrilled.
It's a valuable thing. I mean, it's not a make work, kill time kind of thing. Being able to have real conversations coming from a place of genuine concern and knowledge and curiosity, and it's a helpful thing. It's a helpful thing for you guys to do, but it's also a helpful thing for us to hear. And I just think the appetite for it is kind of bottomless. Like, more of this, please. This is great. I'm so glad you guys are doing it.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. Let's just start, and we'll start with a really easy question. And she's a journalist. She's going to get into the meaty stuff. But we've seen a lot happen in the last year. We've seen a lot happen in the last month. As you go to bed at night, what do you worry about?
I am trying to think strategically about where we are right now, and sort of what we have to do. We, meaning like us, this generation of citizens, what we need to do to keep our republic. And I'll just be really specific. I don't spend that much time worrying about the president and the administration and their ill intentions. I think they do have ill intentions. I don't think the president plans on leaving office ever. I don't think he plans on being constrained by elections. I think he wants to use the military against civilians. I think all the worst things that we've seen signs of from him, I accept those. I don't worry about that too much. What I worry about is the tools that are at his disposal, what he has to work with in order to try to do those things. And so one of the things I've been thinking about a lot, and the thing that has been waking me up nights recently, is thinking about him trying to build a big network of prison camps in this country. And there's a fight on in states all over the country right now, mostly red states actually, but all over the country, where local officials, local people, regular folks are trying to stop him from building one of his prison camps in their town. But I just, given what I think about what Trump wants, the idea that we would give him a new tool, a power to essentially lawlessly hold more than 100,000 people at a time, or maybe 200,000 people at a time, is a really, really, really bad idea. And we're deciding right now as a nation whether or not he's going to have that at his disposal. So I've been working on that and talking about it on the show, trying to do as much reporting on it as I can, and thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I saw your show for Monday, and a line that you said stuck out to me and said, if they build them, they will fill them up. And they're talking about 23 new facilities. And then you said something that we've talked about, specifically even about ideas about what Greenland might look like. But once they're built, they're going to start as detention centers for ICE. And then what?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
what?
Yeah. And, there was a lot of talk at the, as Trump took office for the second term. And when we started to see the kinds of things he was promising during the transition and the stuff that he did just in his first few days in office, and people started to talk about defying court orders as being one of the big red lines we had to worry about. And there's still that's still a very live issue in terms of whether or not the administration is obeying court orders. I think they're flouting court orders a lot, but the place they're doing it just wholesale, like standard operating procedure every day, dozens, if not hundreds of times, is with ICE, with immigration detention stuff. And so they're already creating everything around immigration enforcement as a sort of lawless space. They're being ordered by federal judges to give people hearings, to give people bond hearings, and they're just ignoring it and not doing it. And you may not, what's a bond hearing? What is this? This is a legal thing. It just means what they want is they want the ability to arrest you and put you in prison without ever letting you go to a court. So somebody gets to adjudicate it, no due process. Right. And if they're creating a no due process space around immigrants, and then they're trying to build prison camp holding facilities that are designed for immigrants in the 100,000 to 200,000 people kind of range. Well, they're designing those from the outset to be black sites, to be lawless spaces. And then once you've given a guy like Trump and an administration like this the power to lawlessly lock up that many people, essentially outside the reach of the courts or the legal system, we're very far down the road toward the very worst case scenarios that I think any of us imagined. And so I know this is a dark place to start, but I think this is a really live issue right now. There's communities all over the country right now that are deciding, going to town meetings and board of supervisors meetings and zoning meetings and all this stuff, deciding if the local defunct, Amazon warehouse or whatever it is going to be sold to ICE. And this might sort of determine the fate of the nation. All these little decisions all over the place.
Yeah. It's good to start out a podcast on a bright note.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry. You wanted a little peek inside my mind. Sorry. It's dark in there.
The thing that always gets me is, and I catch a lot of flack on this podcast from some of our viewers, because I really think the folks I served with know better. I really do. Both sides of the aisle, I think they know better. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they've got themselves in a vacuum, so they don't know what the hell's really going on. I mean, they don't show up. They don't do town hall meetings. They don't take questions from the press unless the questions are predetermined. What do you think gets Congress off their ass? What do you think is going to get them to a point where they actually say, we're Article 1, we're in the Constitution, we actually have a job to do. Forefathers thought we were important. What moves them off the dime? I mean, we saw the president post a very racist post last night. It was up for 12 hours or something. Mm-hmm. And then he said, oh no, that was a stupid staffer that did it after he got blowback. And it's some of the first blowback I've seen from Congress.
From many of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you're much more the expert on this than I am in terms of the minds of an elected official. My sense is that there's a couple of things that will move them. And one is Trump being minus 27 in his approval rating. If you want to be, if you want your political career to be defined by your fealty to Trump, then you don't really want a future in politics at this point. I mean, he's less popular than many social infections at this point. Like, it's just so that matters, I think, in terms of just people's in their own craven self-interest. I think also the other thing that matters is the members of Congress sort of being able to jump together seems to make a difference. I'm thinking about the Democratic senators and members of Congress who put out the video telling members of the military you don't have to obey illegal orders. And now we're seeing the Trump administration go after them in all sorts of outrageous ways for doing that. But as a group, because it is not a single senator or a single member of Congress who they're going after, it's this group. They've made some decisions that I can't help but think that their bravery has bolstered one another. And so all of them, for example, are telling the U.S. Attorney's Office, Justice Department division under Jeanine Pirro, that they're not cooperating with this. They're not voluntarily going along with this bogus criminal investigation of what they did. You saw Senator Slotkin actually say, oh, and by the way, Jeanine Pirro, your office should preserve all documents in anticipation of my future litigation on this issue, going on offense on that. You know, so we've seen some signs like that. I actually think some of the funding bills that passed amid this little crisis in the last week had some really good stuff in them. Not necessarily that I'm rooting for any one particular policy, but just having real specifics, like the HHS legislation takes a lot of power away from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It tells him he directly has to fund certain things at certain levels, and certain projects have to be funded and the money has to be delivered. And they're just putting him on a really short leash. And so I feel like some of the signs are there. I don't know how to get more out of them, but I feel like when you get some good signs like that, you got to take them, bank them, and build on them.
So let's take one that's right in front of them right now, and then we'll get sorry about this.
I
got to do it.
Why are you sorry?
So we got Homeland Security that's up. I mean, that's the only bill that didn't get passed.
Yeah.
It's over in the House. Johnson's already said we're not going to negotiate. I believe he said that. But all it takes, I think, is 2 House members on the Republican side, if the Democrats hold together, and party's over for Johnson. They've, you know, the majority rules over there, and they can move it forward. It seems, you got a couple folks over there that seem to be fairly rooted or grounded, let's say grounded, in common sense. You know, what do you think's going to happen there? What do you think? Because the Homeland Security budget, by the way, and the fact they don't use warrants, the fact they wear masks, the fact they're unidentified, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. It goes against all law enforcement in my book.
Yeah. Even if you took, let's say a hypothetical conservative House Republican, I'm really not thinking of anybody in particular, but if you just imagined one who was Trumpy, you know, as much as you need to be in this day and age, and conservative, and the real passion issue is the Second Amendment. Like that's their real issue. Well, there's, you know, under this Homeland Security Department, they're saying somebody lawfully carrying a concealed weapon in Minneapolis deserves to be killed by federal agents simply because they were carrying a weapon. Well, maybe that's enough to peel you off. And when you have a one, what is it? It's a 1 vote or 2 vote margin in the House. it can be anything. It could be somebody had a bad dream the night before and it caused them to vote against you. It could be any matter of principle or any matter of self-interest. The House isn't governable for doing mainstream good governance things when you've got a 1 or 2 seat majority. When you're trying to do stuff as radical and revolutionary and violent as what they're doing, particularly with DHS, I just don't think it's possible.
And there's a pile of those House members that aren't coming back. They decided they're not going to run, or they're running for something else. And so what's stopping them from doing the right thing? Yeah,
I know. What is stopping them from doing the right thing? Do you know?
There's a lot of fear, I think. There's a lot of fear. And, but I think what we were talking about around the breakfast table here this morning is that we're seeing it work with this blowback on this racist video that was shared by the president. And we're seeing all of these Republicans coming out together and saying, this is a line, this is unacceptable, whatever. And he took it down. So that's proof. If they push back together, it does move the needle, at least at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on this one. So
pushback works. This is not an administration that enjoys hard work. This is an administration that likes easy things, and that also misperceives, I think, their own political strength on some things. I think they think some things are going to be popular because they're popular kind of in their bubble. And then when they get out and the general public sees them, they're not. I think they thought that violent anti-immigrant displays would always work the way their propaganda does for them, that the public would always be into it, and they're not. I think that Trump probably thought that his, racist, ape jokes about a former president would be seen as hilarious and transgressive and un-PC, but his people would be cheering for it. Like, I think he's high on his own supply. He doesn't understand how out of step both his politics and his aesthetic is with most people. And so pushback works. They don't, whether the pushback is, peaceful protest in the streets, whether it is media pushback, whether it is people in Congress, whether it's people in their own party, whether it's, European leaders sitting there stone-faced and booing him when he's trying to talk about taking Greenland because he thought that would be a winning political issue and he didn't understand how it would actually land. I think pushback, it doesn't always work, but it's the only thing that does. And it works with this guy more often than people credit us for.
So let me ask you this, as long as we touched on Greenland and NATO and most people that understand why we've been successful since World War II is because not only are we pretty damn good, but our allies have been sticking with us. Greenland kind of gives NATO the middle finger, by the way. And this is from a guy that the United States has elected twice as the president of the United States.
Not Greenland gives him the middle finger. His plan to
take Greenland. I'm sorry, I was not clear.
The Greenland debacle. The Greenland
debacle. But I mean, he basically, the people in Denmark are going, "What the hell's happened to the United States?" The people in England, France, all of them are saying, "What's gone on here?" I've always said that if he leaves office, the next president is going to have one hell of a job repairing all these relationships that he has just totally destroyed. What do you have any insight on what Europe is saying right now and what it's going to take to reunite our traditional allies, Canada included, in that whole mix? What's your perspective on that? Just curious.
I mean, it's been a real wrecking ball, and I think that NATO, to the extent that NATO is a transatlantic mutual security pact, NATO de facto does not exist anymore. And you're seeing that in some operational stuff. You're seeing the U.S. Defense Secretary not go to the defense minister's meeting and the Secretary of State. We're just opting out of those things. But the Article, Trump has already questioned the Article 5 commitment. And once you've questioned it, it's not there effectively.
That's right. Right.
And so NATO we're effectively out of NATO, and therefore NATO no longer really exists, I think, right now. And when Trump is gone and our country survives as a republic and course corrects, we're going to have to reestablish all of our alliances one by one. I mean, Canada and Mexico and the UK and France and Germany and the Netherlands and Denmark and every place.
The works.
Everything. It's going to have to be built up from the ground up. And maybe the thing to start thinking about is whether or not we're going to be able to be humble enough and smart enough to rebuild those things in a way that is more just, more fair, and more sustainable, rather than just trying to snap back to what was there pre-Trump. But Trump's killed off our alliances. I mean, who's in his board of peace? It's like us and the Emirates and like Sudan. I don't know. That's who our team is now. We're in the Axis now, and I just think it's going to have to be wholesale rebuilt, which means, the country needs to survive. We need to have 2026 elections. We need to have 2028 elections, and we need to be thinking about international gravitas and skill and character in our next round of national leaders for coming out of this.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about pushback working, and that's been a theme of your show for many years, really. I mean, especially this year with all of the highlighting of the protests. and these organized efforts. And I know when you won your Cronkite Award this year, in your acceptance speech, you said that you have to look to the response of the people. It's the response of the people that will decide if we're here again next year. But I did want to ask you about this headline this week from the Washington Post. And this is a story about, for our audience, this is a story about a man that DHS targeted. He was an older gentleman. He wrote an email to a prosecutor handling a deportation case from an Afghan refugee, and he asked them to use common sense and decency. Well, the feds not only issued an administrative subpoena for all the contents in his Google account, but then they showed up at his door. And so, Rachel, I mean, aside from the blatant First Amendment violations here, how much harder is this going to get? Because I already hear from people who are afraid to speak out or afraid to go to protests. I mean, what would you tell people who feel afraid to dissent in any way right now?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you singled that out. I was really moved by that story. It's also really good reporting by the Washington Post at a time that the Washington Post is really going through it. I think that the effort to intimidate and effectively criminalize dissent and criticism and opposition is going to have some of its intended effects by nature. Like if you act intimidating toward people who are criticizing you or opposing you, then some people will be intimidated. It's just, you can't avoid it. At the same time, when we can clearly see, understand, and show one another that is how the government is behaving, for every one person that you intimidate, you will likely galvanize and even potentially radicalize, 15 or 20 more. I think that the character of the American people is one that privileges and instinctually leans toward freedom and against bullying and against government oppression. And I don't think that's just true in the West, and I don't think that's just true in rural America, and I don't think that's just true among conservative Americans. I think Americans are by nature free and against tyranny. I mean, it's what we are in our American civic DNA. And so I think they, when they start arresting journalists and when they start, demanding that late night talk show hosts be taken off the air, and when the president demands that, the funding for X will be held up unless, Penn Station gets named after him I think, there are probably people who are immediately adjacent to the president who are thrilled by that, or people and people who are intimidated by potentially being on the sharp end of that stick. But I think more and more and more Americans are brought into the big tent of small d democratic resistance to this guy with every one of these moves. Just normal apolitical Americans know how repulsive these kinds of actions are and are against it. And I think any Republican on that DHS issue who sides with the Democrats to say, hey, Homeland Security is out of control, we can't have them doing this we can't have them, filing administrative subpoenas and getting everybody's Google search history and Gmail account contents, right, because they contacted somebody in public service. Like, I think Republicans who stand up for that purely on libertarian grounds, purely on free speech grounds, will be rewarded by their constituents for doing so. And I think that smart Republicans will recognize that.
I hope so, because the truth is, I've always said there's Democrats and Republicans in the state of Montana, but they're all libertarians, and I think there's a libertarian all over this country. They don't want government crossing the lines.
Yep.
Well, Ammon Bundy is coming out against all of this. I mean, that says something. But I wonder, Rachel, what did you say?
Government overreach.
Government overreach. I remember when the idea of Obamacare was government overreach. How about masked paramilitary forces breaking down doors without warrants and pulling people out into the snow and locking
Sending
them up
people,
and never letting them see a judge. How about that? Is that government overreach, or are we still just focused on health insurance being
Or
tyranny?
student loan forgiveness. I
Student
think,
loan
too,
forgiveness is absolutely tyranny. I mean, that's where 1984 ends, if you remember, is when people got their student loans forgiven. Yes.
But I wonder, Rachel, I mean, I don't know if scared or concerned is a better word. Are you concerned about being targeted? I mean, we talk about it all the time. Are you concerned about being the focus of this?
I mean, I sort of feel serenity prayer about it. You know what I mean? Like, if they're going to come for me, they're going to come for me. Like, I tell everybody the same thing, which is, make your precautions, harden yourself as a target, be ready for anything. There's a despot in the White House who is trying to get rid of American democracy and stay in power forever and use the government, including the military, simply as a tool to maintain him in power indefinitely. Like, okay, we're there. So anything can happen. Take care of yourself and take care of people you love. But I don't spend that much time thinking about what he might or might not do. I sort of just expect the worst, prepare for the worst, and work as hard as I can to try to be strategic and thoughtful about where we're at. How about you? I mean, you asked, I'm worried that you asked that because you're scared for me.
No, I think I'm just scared for everybody. I mean,
look, the Don Lemon thing is pretty bizarre, if you want to know the truth. I mean, the guy's just reporting and he gets picked up. And by the way,
and Georgia Fort. Georgia Fort.
That's right, 100%. And they were and he made it obvious in his reporting that he was just a reporter. That's it. Mm-hmm. And yet, you go after him. And it smacks of there's no belief in the Constitution, whether it's the First, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, the list is long.
Yeah. Okay? I mean, and they're trying to intimidate all of us, trying to make us all afraid. And again, intimidation works. People feel scared, but I also think that it galvanizes, and it's okay to also feel scared and keep going. And
I think it had a reverse effect too, because I mean, Georgia Fort is a well-known name now. Yeah. And people want to support her work. People want to support Don Lemon's work. So I think there was a little bit of a boomerang effect. But did you
look at the indictment? The indictment is it was like strung together from fragments of fortune cookies. it just has no relationship to American law whatsoever. Like, I half expected that at the end when you got to the signature, it was going to be with a crayon. I mean, it really is. I envy the federal judge who's going to get this case, because it's going to be an opportunity to really sing from the bench. I think this case is
right. Well, and then you had the lawyer who was in court saying, please hold me in contempt. I could use a day of sleep.
Your Honor, this job sucks. These people don't believe in following the law, Your Honor. Yeah.
Well, okay. I've been reading Prequel this week.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I do have to just give a shout out, because I think this is important to the Edmonds Bookshop in Edmonds, Washington, because that is where I purchased it. And there's so much to learn from this. I mean, things that I knew a little bit about, but I mean, in our history, we've seen a lot of these figures before who've embraced authoritarianism, outwardly embraced fascism and Hitler. But as you pointed out in a show that stuck out to me, it must have been from 2024, you said the difference here is none of those guys ever made it to be the Republican nominee and now the president again for the second time around. So it's hard to know what to do to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I'm wondering if there's anything else about this moment that feels especially novel here for you as you watch all of this stuff happen, because there are so many parallels. I mean, I think about the kids, right? The kids in the Japanese internment camps from your podcast, Burn Order. And now we see little Liam Ramos, and they're trying to expedite his deportation. And he's just the one we know a lot about. How many other kids are there out there that we don't know their names and we don't know their circumstances? So, I mean, you've studied this, and I'm just curious, what feels different here, or what feels the same that we kind of have a roadmap out of?
Thank you for that first of all, thank you for reading Prequel. It's nice to see you. Thanks for listening to Burn Order.
Oh, I love this book. I've been raving about it to everyone in the house all week. So.
Oh, good. Very good. The, on the camps issue, on the prison camps issue, I was thinking about that this week when, the place where Liam and his dad got sent was in Texas, this place called Dilley. And at Dilley, it's a facility where they're holding men and women and kids. And it's a facility from all accounts, from people who've been inside and the what we know about the conditions there. It's really atrocious conditions. And one thing that's different is that people are protesting at Dilley, and that's different. And that's it's not just that what's novel about right now is bad, right? That you get the Henry Ford / Huey Long character in the White House, Charles Lindbergh character in the White House, right? Yes, that's bad, as opposed to those guys being different kinds of power brokers in their own way, but never president in the past. Part of the what's different about now on the positive side is that you've got, the people protesting at Dilley. You've got people protesting again all over the country, trying to stop new prison camps being built. The protests that we've seen outside of ICE holding facilities, basically everywhere that people know where they are, is new, is novel. I mean, one of the most heartbreaking things about Burn Order, about the Japanese incarceration story, was hearing Japanese Americans talk about their, not disappointment, they're sort of their own heartbreak that nobody protested when they were taken away, and that there wasn't large scale, demonstrations, that their neighbors lined up and watched them get taken. And that was at wartime. And there was a lot else going on in the country. And yes, Pearl Harbor. And yes, you can explain it all. But I mean, this is like 120,000 or 130,000 people held for years. Men, women, and children, and including U.S. citizens, including tens of thousands of U.S. citizens held purely on the basis of their race. Some people didn't get out until 1946, even after the war, and there wasn't large-scale protest at all. And we, at least right now, in our generation as Americans, at least don't have to bear that on our conscience. At least we are seeing large-scale protest.
Well, and I'm from Minneapolis, and I was there last week reporting and talked to so many members of the resistance, and just the amount of people who have 3D printed whistles, who just go out on the street corner whenever they get an alert on their phone to try to document and observe and warn people. I mean, I think you're right. There are some positives here too. And one of them is this mass form of communication. Even with all of its problems, we do have the ability to communicate quickly.
Yeah. And yes, it's good when there's news photographers and news cameras who are documenting stuff that the government that's doing that's wrong. But everybody has a, TV quality camera in their pocket at any moment. And so the ability of the government to operate, especially when they're targeting civilians and they're using paramilitary or military style force, their ability to do that in secret is effectively eliminated by citizen observers. And that is also new, and that is consequential. And they can't, they can't tell us to not believe our eyes, right? Because we've got too many different camera angles on what they're doing. And that's different. And that, I think, lays a solid groundwork for defeating some of their propaganda and keeping people grounded in the truth, which is something that citizens really need to do. A population really needs to do when faced with an authoritarian overthrow.
So I talked to one of my former colleagues this morning on some different issues, and he said, I said the same thing I talked to you earlier about when's Congress going to wake up and when's Congress going to do their job as the Constitution is intended. He said he talked to one of his fellow friends on the other side of the aisle and asked him about a certain issue, and he didn't know anything about it.
Oh,
and that's a huge problem if you're serving in the United States Senate, by the way, because it's your job to find out what the hell's going on. But it's also a problem with many people out there where this stuff is going on, and either they're in denial that it's happening, or they they're watching a news program that doesn't even address it. I mean, like
Mhm.
when Don Lemon was arrested, I panned
And
through
Georgia Fort.
Georgia Ford, sorry. I panned through the channels, and one of the news channels, if you want to call it a news channel, was talking about the weather in Maine, for Christ's sakes. They weren't even talking about what was going on.
Well, to be fair, we've never had weather in Maine before. That's never
No,
happened.
I know.
It's totally unprecedented.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a new phenomenon.
Novel.
That climate change stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But the question is, you know, we do this podcast, and there are a lot of people doing podcasts, and there's a lot of people trying to get information out. What's the key to getting good information out? Because, you know, Trump talks about fake news all the time, and there's fake news out there, but the stuff he's calling fake news is real, and the stuff he's calling, you know what I mean, is real, is fake news. So how do we crack that nut so that people really understand what's going on? Because it's fairly obvious to Maritza. It takes a little education for me, but it doesn't seem like a lot of this stuff is breaking through to a lot of people. The libertarian issue that we talked about, a prime example. Most people, if they knew about that, would go, "What the hell's going on? That's unacceptable."
Yeah.
What's your advice?
I mean, I don't think we're ever going back to the sort of, you know, three big networks. Everybody has the same, you know, everybody's watching the same news at the same time at the same day. I don't think we're ever going back to that. And the mainstream, you know, legacy media is under incredible strain, not because of business stuff. It's always been a difficult business, but because of cowardice and terrible politics among the billionaire class, which has been buying it up, right? So, I mean, it's very Orban, right? That you either shut down independent media, forget opposition media, right? Independent media, you shut it down, or you have your oligarchic friends buy it and convert it into a pro-regime, pro-administration mouthpiece. And then you take more aggressive action against media that's actively opposing you. It's just it's like it's what happens on day one of authoritarian school. So those kinds of pressures are real and are taking a toll. And yet you have to work with what you've got. And so, I mean, the other thing I said at the end of that Cronkite event was, you know, what I've been telling people in mainstream media ever since Trump seemed clear to me that he was going to get back in, which was three things I've been saying to all my friends in the media: stay on the air, stay big, and no state TV. Like, it really matters. I know that people think TV doesn't matter and everything is digital now and everything. TV still matters. Print still matters. Any place that can have professional reporting with editors and corrections and journalistic standards, that it all matters. And we need to do sort of everything all at once to make sure that independent media stays alive. So I'm doing what I can. I will say at MS Now, we're doing kind of great right now, which is weird to say, but we've gone through our own very specific corporate shakeup over the past year and a half or so, and we've come out of that actually stronger than ever and very well capitalized, and have a growing newsroom and the whole thing. So I feel like we're in good shape. We could use everybody's support, but also, to the extent that you can support real local media where you live, it makes a difference.
Well, and I mean, you have been such a champion for local news and amplifying it. And that's what happened with me and my story about the planned removal of the blue USPS boxes. That story would not have been as widespread or as effective without your amplification. And I'm going to thank you again, because that completely changed the course of my life. And I also think that I would add to that, when you see a local news story, share it with your networks, not just on social media, because we know the algorithms, but share it with, via text message or phone calls or conversations. Like, you have to read this story by this reporter, because I think that's also the way to keep it alive. Otherwise, the algorithms are just fighting us at every turn.
Yeah. And meanwhile, local news TV stations all around the country are producing very granular, useful, fact-driven, visual, short media clips all the time, every day, dozens of them, in order to flesh out their local newscasts. And those things, if you think about the way that people share information, whether it's on a group text or whether it is in social media or whether it's on your Facebook wall or whatever it is, local news clips are excellent and often are the best way for people all the way across the country to get eyes on and to really conceptualize something that's happening locally that should be of national import. And it's just, it's to the extent that YouTube is still mostly free. It's owned by Google, and so we'll see. It's a really effective and useful way to share real information and to give reporters and local stations their due.
So
you can't end us out yet if this is your last question.
I know this is my last question.
No,
it's
it's not your last question. We're not done yet.
I'm telling you, keep going. You're doing good. You're doing good, Maritza. You'll get a Cronkite Award for this pretty quick. It's good.
Well, I want to know, just like a little bit more about you. How do you I know you have an amazing team. I know that. How do you, though, have the capacity to consume so much information without going totally nuts? And do you have boundaries about times that you consume news or how much you consume? What does that look like in your world?
Very good questions. And embarrassing answers. I'll warn you in advance. I had better boundaries actually when I was doing shows 5 days a week, because I would really compartmentalize. I would not look at my emails or take phone calls or start reading it in the news before a certain time in the morning every day, unless there's an emergency. And then after the show, no post tapes, no staying after the show and recording something for some other thing. When the lights are off, I'm off, and no working on Saturdays. I had this whole light switch on, light switch off. Now I just have the weekly show, and I've got all of these other things that have not daily deadlines. Yeah. So I've got a book that's going to be coming out at the end of the year. I've got this podcast that I just finished with Burn Order. I've got a few different documentary projects that I'm working on. I've got all these different things, which means that I actually can't flip the light switch off at any time. I should be working on something every moment of every day. And so I kind of work 7 days a week, 12 plus hours a day now, which is bad. Even though I'm not on TV, I'm working harder than ever. So I should have better boundaries than I do. But I do absolutely depend on my team. And, for covering the protests this year, we developed a whole new news gathering system within my team that was largely based on local TV news, and contacting local TV stations and finding what was being posted locally, local newspapers and local TV stations, and just following the threads that local reporters were able to find. When there was no national coverage of this stuff, we were doing the only national coverage. The only way to do it is by aggregating what's happening locally. And so we built a production system for doing that. And we still do that. And right now we're in the process of shifting that a little bit, because I'm really focused on whether or not we're going to have these prison camps all over the country. And the local fights against those, again, it's mostly not national coverage, it's local coverage, but the fate of the country really may depend on it. So it just no time to rest.
Right. What's your book about? What's your next book about?
I haven't told anybody anything about it yet. It's in very general terms, it's about the Justice Department, and about the sort of promise and tragedy of the Justice Department. I think the Justice Department is effectively gone now, in the same way that NATO's gone now. And so I do want to think about what we're going to have to do in order to rebuild it better. And so I have been writing about and thinking about some of the highest and most noble aims of the Justice Department, going all the way back to the beginning, to the first AG once the Justice Department was filled, and the ways that really Trumpism took it apart, and how dangerous it is now. It's essentially it's a loaded weapon in a room with a madman. And so that takes, again, dark. It's dark in there when you look inside there, but I've been working on that all year.
I have a few just random questions.
Shoot, man.
Do you have a question? I don't want to.
I've got a question that's gonna
Wrap us
solve.
up. Okay.
No, it's gonna solve all the problems in the country.
Oh, I
Is it about fishing?
That's the last comment, by the way.
Okay.
The fishing's coming.
Fishing's coming. Yeah. I mean, I hope that you're doing some fishing with all of your free time.
All right, you asked it. We're gonna. But see that right there?
Big Hole Lodge. Oh, nice.
That's a big hole in Southwest Montana, and you're invited as long as you teach Maritza how to fly fish.
Yeah.
All right. Maritza, I am what I lack in skill, I make up for in enthusiasm. I am
excellent. Me too.
I'm just going to hold on. I want to show you. I was out fishing yesterday, but this where I'm at right now. I'm going to just hold this up to the screen. This is what fishing looks like. Oh, wait, hold on. How does that go? Library. Ah, there it is. This is what fishing looks like out here right now. Let's see.
Oh,
it's ice fishing season out here.
Yeah.
It was,
good.
and
like
we've had so much snow that you have to wear snowshoes to go ice fishing to get out onto the ice. And then you have to have a full-size snow shovel to dig down 3 feet before you get to the top of the ice, where you can then drill down 2 feet to get to the water. It's crazy.
Well, you don't have to worry about the ice breaking through, at least.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm almost tempted to drive out onto the ice, put the plow on the side by side, and just.
Well, that's what they do in Minnesota, Rachel. They have little huts. They just live out there. My 14-year-old son has gotten really into fly fishing, and so I'm learning stuff through him. But okay, I just have some random little questions here. First of all, my mother would like to know if you've considered going back to having nightly shows, but it sounds like you're so busy that you can't.
I am not going to go back to nightly shows. It almost killed me, and I don't want to die that way. So I'm not going to do it, but I'm very flattered that she wants me to.
Yeah, she's a big fan. Let me also ask you.
Hi, Mom.
Okay, Hi, Mom. Have you ever thought about what you would ask Donald Trump if you had the chance to interview him?
I think I would ask him a fact-based question. You know, like I think I would say, like, is Africa a country?
Well, I think I know what word he would put in front of it, in front of country.
I mean, I feel like I have a very clear understanding of what he wants and what he thinks. So I'm sort of most interested in what he knows. But yeah, I'm not dying to interview him. There isn't anything I'm eager to hear him opine about.
Ask your question. You were going to ask about.
I was going to ask about. Look, you've done interviews. How many years have you been on TV?
What's it? 2026? Like 18 years. My show started in 2008. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So what's the
I was four when I started.
4 years old.
Yes.
4 years old. And
Prodigy.
just turned 4.
Yeah.
And so what's the scariest interview you did, and who was it and why?
Scariest in terms of like me being nervous?
Either way you want to go. You either being nervous like Maritza was the day before this show came on, or the guy told you shit that was just, or gal told you shit that was just flat scary.
Oh God, that's a really excellent question. I've never thought about it in those terms before. You know, I did. Somebody I've actually become friends with since. I went to Kandahar and Kabul at the start of the Obama's surge in Afghanistan. And I interviewed a general there named Ben Hodges. And I've since become friends with him, which has been actually a really rewarding thing. He's a really deep thinker, a really like caring, interesting person, really smart guy. But he was talking about, we're like standing on a forward operating base, and he's was talking about the limits of American power, that this surge was gonna, designed to reach X, Y, and Z aims in Afghanistan. And he was talking about his soldiers being potentially losing their lives to try to achieve those things. And then he just kind of quietly said to me, I don't even know if we put it on TV. I just remember the moment. He just quietly said to me, and if it doesn't work, we'll go home knowing that we tried as hard as we could. And that's both factually true and an uncomplicated statement. But the fact that he was talking about that in the context of thinking about the men and women under his command dying for it was very humbling to me. And I felt like I was about the size of an ant by the time that he was done, in terms of talking about their service and what they were willing to do for an uncertain outcome, and how much it means for our country to invest in something where what we're paying with is the lives of these young men and women. Amen. And it was one of those things where I just kind of felt like my organs turned inside out, like I just thought, like, I'll never actually really be the same. I'm after this conversation with that general, in that moment, in that context, I was not the same person after that than I had been before. So that's not exactly scary, but it was unsettling. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
Now, this is the easiest question you'll have all day long. So I wanted to go back to 2016 and then again in 24, where this country elected a person who had declared bankruptcy a half a dozen times, something that, by the way, my parents told me was absolutely, totally unacceptable, and never, ever, ever, ever be in that position. And if you do, you pay all those people back once you bring yourself out of bankruptcy. Don't need to talk about the Epstein files, but was connected with that whole bunch of bullshit. And I don't mean bullshit from a non-factual way. A guy who, tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power. A guy who was a convicted felon, 34 times? So the question is, and I'm a Democrat, my folks were fiscally conservative, but socially liberal, FDR Democrats. Where have the Democrats gone wrong in the last, 10, 20 years? And what do they need to do moving forward, starting right now?
You said that was the easiest question.
It is. For Rachel Maddow, it's easy. She's already thought about all this stuff.
This is not an easy question. I do think that there is, a friend said to me the other day that one of the things that we forget about the history of fascism is that fascist movements always start as political parties, and that fascist movements grow from democracies. There is this is not, we're not being faced with a, military junta, and we're not being faced with invasion by some other country. We're being confronted, and our republic is on the brink of potential collapse, thanks to a movement that arose within one of our two parties, within a stable democracy, where the appeals of authoritarianism were channeled into electoral gain, and the rewards of electoral gain were too delicious for the sane members of that party to reject. And it spiraled into what we're facing right now, which is, I think, other than the Civil War, this past year has been the biggest challenge to the existence of our country and its history. And I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know if we're going to make it to the 2026 midterms. I don't know if those midterm results are going to be adhered to. I don't know if we don't have 2026 midterms, I don't know how this president ever is ousted, or if we ever return to the idea of the people choosing our leaders. Like, we're there. But it came out of our two-party system, and the way that we have to beat it is actually with the tools of democracy. This is not going to be something that is settled in civil war. This is not going to be something that is settled in a contrary, opposing authoritarian movement that's coming from a different direction. That's not going to happen. We need to regain our Article 1 swagger, honestly, in Congress. The Democratic Party needs to become very, very, very big tent right now. Like whatever differences you think you've had with people across the political spectrum in the last 10, 20, 30, 50 years, if that person wants us to stay a constitutional republic, they're on your side now. Congratulations. It's one big team. And that sort of popular front organizing, big tent, move past our differences, link arms together stuff is the challenge of our day. And I think that we might be surprised who the Democrats are who are best at that. I'm not sure it's going to be the people who are already in leadership. It may be some people with other skills that haven't necessarily had them tapped yet. I don't know. Does that resonate with you though? Do you think that way about it, John?
I absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more on it's time to find what unites you, not what divides you, because what's dividing us is killing us. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats have incredible opportunity right now. I've said this before on this podcast. They got to have a better plan than just saying we're better than these guys, and they got to open the tent up to bring everybody on board. So you got to have a plan for affordability, for housing, for healthcare, all that stuff moving forward. And they've got to be vocal about it. So people sitting at their kitchen tables in Iowa or Montana or North Carolina or wherever you're at can say, yep, what that person's saying is what I think. And I'm going to support that person.
Yeah, it's good government solving problems and not being radical and freaking fascist. Like, how about that?
100%. So as usual, Rachel, you are right.
Could you say that louder? Because I'm not sure. There's people in my own house who I don't think are on board with you on that diagnosis.
I'm always asking Maritza to say that about me, that I'm always right. It very seldom comes out of her mouth.
That is not true.
We can create like a little recording of it. So like if you had a doll and you could pull like a chatty Cathy.
Perfect. I like it.
As usual. Always right. As usual.
Always right. Always right, Senator. Yeah, I think after 18 years in the Senate, you need more people telling you, yes, boss, you're right.
See what I mean?
She's very smart. She's very smart.
She's very smart.
Okay, Rachel Maddow, Emmy Award-winning host of the Rachel Maddow Show, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on MS Now. Seriously, Burn Order is an amazing podcast. You have to listen to it. There's so many parallels to what we're going through now to Burn Order. And then also Prequel. I'm just going to say this, like Prequel is so entertaining. You almost forget that it's nonfiction.
Thanks you guys so much. Thank you, Maritza and John. I'm so happy to have had this time with you. Let's do it again. This is super fun.
We can do it, and the thanks goes to you. You're working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and you took an hour out of that to be with us. We appreciate it very, very much. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Congratulations on your 1 year.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel.
Okay. Can you hear me?
There we go.
I'm still on a high from that.
I can't hear you.
What?
She's going to. We're doing the close.
Senator.
Hello?
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you guys
Technology,
all hear me?
man. You
Can
gotta
you all
love it.
hear me on let's make sure. I need someone to tell me if you can hear me. John Tester.
My microphone says it's working, but
okay. Well, I'm gonna keep
Camera's
talking.
working.
And
I can't read lips near as good as I used to because I've got hearing aids, and that skill went away.
Okay. This is what happens when you're on a live show. I'm going to text Senator Tester right now the question I want him to answer.
Not a peep.
You all, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody writing in the comments here. Let us know what you think about that interview.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me, what I'll say is that we'll end this with the same way we ended the conversation with Rachel Maddow, and that is an incredible honor to have her on. She certainly has insight into how things are in this country that I think are valuable to folks who are part of the citizenry. I will also say that the part at the very end where she talked about the big tent and the no purity test and bringing people together, that if you're for a democracy, then you're on the same team, and quit doing all this crap that separates the Democrats, I think is really, really, really important. Whether you're a Republican, independent, or Democrat, if you believe in this country and want this democracy to proceed, then you should get on the same team and move forward and forget about the differences, because they really don't matter if we end up in a different form of government, quite frankly, because we won't have any of those freedoms anymore. And so, that's important. We're having that debate in Montana right now, and driving me insane. But it was a short drive for me. So, hey, want to thank not only Rachel Maddow but Maritza Giorgio for that show, because Maritza is the one that did the work to be able to get a hold of Rachel Maddow, to be able to get her on this show, and I appreciate that very, very much, as well as many, 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 many other guests that we've had on the past year, and we look forward to this next year. We hope it's a little less chaotic. We hope it's a little less flood the zone on news. We hope we have to look for stuff to talk about on this podcast, because quite frankly, this last year, we could have done a podcast every single day on a different topic every day, and not even covered half of what's going on in this country right now. And the people who are watching this podcast know that. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to Maritza. One more.
I need you.
My hat. It's the same hat I wore the other day. It's the one with the big hole fishing. And so it's we covered it, but thanks. At any rate, before I turn it back to Maritza, I'd just like to say tally ho.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody here, everybody who's been with us from the beginning, even if you just joined us last week. We're so thankful for you not only subscribing and listening in, but sharing it with people. It's just been an amazing journey. Every time someone comes up and says, we listen to your podcast, it brings us joy, because it means that what we're doing matters. And so that's the goal here. Let's keep up the work. Let's stay grounded. And thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.